people, we've got to fight. Jean Petro, you see us. Oguo, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Zumbi, you see us. Oguo, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Yes, Tantewa, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Bookman, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh,
we have to have the courage to construct our own reality. And that's what Garvey was talking about. Because he said he looked around, he didn't see what he thought should be there, and so what did he do? He didn't get depressed about it. He didn't get defeated about it. He said, I'm going to build the government that we need to have. Ooh, where do you get that kind of boldness from? So we got to go all the way back to Garvey, who said he would come again. He said he would be here with us, no matter how long it took. And I'm telling you that the way he comes back is in our work. Not honoring him in words, pomp, and all of that stuff, but honoring him through doing what he did. How many of us have the courage to do that? The man took on the world for us and in our name. And then we come to Sodai. And in this presentation of the paradigm, I'm going to make this like what it is we want to reach. So Sodai is translated clear word in Dogana language. And I use it to mean that here we gain understanding. This is sight with understanding. And it is seeing beyond what just we think we see with this physical thing. It's seeing beyond that. And so we gain vision, because that's what vision is. With vision, you've got to be able to use the imagination. The imagination informed by the African spirit. And Brother Amos, who I work very closely with, was a good friend of mine. He taught me, and he would talk about imagination. Image a nation. Do you see? But that's got to be part of vision. To be a visionary, you got to see beyond this box here. You got to see beyond the ma'afa. You got to see what is it that our people rightfully should have, and that's what Garvey did. Garvey had a vision.
Hello, this is Robin Walker. I'm the Black History Man. This is Kush Communiversity, and class is in session. The presentation is called The West African Empire of Ghana. The ruler of Ghana was the richest king on the face of the earth. West Africa is the center of where it's at in terms of economic activity. On the earth, West Africa is where it's at.
Tendai Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe, Kudzai, Modzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors because our ancestors are worthy to be praised. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Greetings and welcome, brothers and sisters, to another live session here on Kimbunga Media, hosted by myself, Shakara. We are here, brothers and sisters, and I'm pleased that you are joining us for a very special conversation with our brother Black Panther on the subject of his new book, African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora. Please kindly like the video as you come through. Like up the video. Yes, indeed, kings and queens. Please share the link far and wide and let the people them know that Shakara is live right about now with Black Panther discussing African spirituality for children of the African diaspora. As you have just seen, we shall be returning with our flagship show, the Kushkim University, featuring our illustrious people's professor, the Black history man himself, Brother Robin Walker. This coming Kulinchagulia Day, Monday, the 30th of September, from the hour of 7 p.m. if you are in the UK on this side of the waters, and corresponding with 2 p.m. EST for those who are on the other side of the Atlantic, and everybody else can situate themselves, accordingly, brothers and sisters. I also want to let you know that we shall be returning with the African Survival Initiative Roundtable. This subject on Saturday coming will be the US government versus Black people, and we're going to be looking at the domestic policies of the two major parties in the United States of America, brothers and sisters, as assembled by our panel organized by Jikola Kimbunga, the Brotherhood Jikola Kimbunga, the eye of the whirlwind, brothers and sisters. If you caught the first inaugural session of the African Survival Initiative, where we were discussing Project 2025, then you know that you don't want to miss this analysis, brothers and sisters. So do come through this coming Imani Day, Saturday, from 1 p.m. EST, which corresponds to 6 p.m. for those of us in the UK. Essential analysis coming your way, brothers and sisters. And finally, as regards announcements, let me remind you of the fact that the African World newspaper, as initiated by Mama Marimba Ani, the special edition, the War Report, is available, and you can access it right now via the link in the description to this particular video. Yeah, so we're gonna get into the conversation now. Nothing more to be said on those things, but you know what to do and where to go. We are here to discuss a new book, brothers and sisters, by a very illustrious brother in our global African community, member of the Mossy warrior clan, who has written a number of books, on the theme of African spirituality. And this latest title, brothers and sisters, is entitled African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora. Without further ado, let me bring forward to you the one and only Black Panther, aka Benjamin Njie, aka Ogun Jimmy. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, we have our brother in the place. Greetings, brother Black Panther.
Lafayette Manla, Baby Fahudier is your favorite warrior. Black Panther in the building. Thank you for having me on your platform. It's an honor. It's a privilege. Anytime I can connect with brothers of like mind, of Pan-Africanism, that are doing great works in the community, I always make myself available. Been wanting to link with you, brother, for a very long time. I've watched, your program since, Got Kush TV and before that, you are one of the, what I call pillars of Kimoyo, because there's only 4 of us that are even familiar with that term and are actively pushing that term towards our people. So excited to be here, brother.
Yes, my brother. Like you say, this connection is well overdue, and so I'm glad to be facilitating it right now. And no doubt, it will not be the last. Yeah. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to let you know that I'm yet to read. I'm yet to even acquire. Yeah, which I will be doing in about a week or so. A copy of the book African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora. So that's just to let you know that once I have read it, yeah, we're definitely gonna get our brother Ogunjimi back, yeah, to discuss it from an informed perspective. But there is enough for us to discuss right here now, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully, what we're gonna be doing today is encouraging you all, yeah, to go and get this book. And if you want to acquire the book African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora, you can do so very simply by clicking the link in the description to this video. Is it self-published, bro?
Yes, it's published by Same Tree Different Branch, which is our publishing company.
All right.
Out of the Masi Warrior clan that was started by brother Kofi P. Shea, and which I'm an editor for this publishing company. But yes, it is in-house published, distributed through other networks, but in-house published.
All right, brothers and sisters, so do check it out. Yeah, make sure you support not only our brother's book, but in supporting the book, you are also supporting an institution in our community, and a publishing institution in our community, and that is extremely important. Brother Ogunjimi, I'm gonna call you Ogunjimi for the rest of the remainder of the show because I like it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like it. And I have seen the name spelt without the N, but I'm assuming it's the same meaning. In terms of
Ogu.
Yes.
One thing about Ogu.
No, not the first N, the second N. So I've heard it.
Second N.
Yeah, I've seen it. The second N.
Like Jimmy instead of
Yes.
Jimmy. Yeah, sometimes
Yes.
they drop the N, depending
Right.
on the dialectical variant of the area of Yoruba land. You will see letters
Right.
dropped in a variety of names. It's just a
Yes.
Yoruba language thing.
Of course. So therefore, the meaning is Ogun has entrusted this to me, or
Ogun has entrusted me. Ogun has dashed me. Ogun is heavy upon me. The general theme, because you will find multiple meanings of this name. The general theme is that the person that they are talking about is connected with Ogun in a special type of way.
Right.
So that's why I was named this name by my Ogun teacher, and it rings true in my life. Before I knew who Ogun was, I was very Ogun-like. Not everybody is like the Orisha that is best for them, or they're a child of. I just happen to be. So it's just something about my life.
All right. Well, on that subject now, just introduce yourself to our viewing audience. Give them where you come from. You know what I'm saying? what do you do? And how do you come into African spirituality?
Okay, well, they call me Black Panther, also known as Ogunjimi. My birth name is Benjamin Njai. I was born in Long Beach, California, in a city not far from there named Harbor City, California, Los Angeles County. For the most part, I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia. How I get into African spirituality? Well, I always say my first steps into African spirituality was my African father.
Before you go there, bro, is your family from the States, or did they hail from elsewhere?
My mother was born in Memphis, Tennessee. My father was born in Banjul, Gambia, in West Africa. So my first steps towards my Africanisms, as people can say, is my father. I always knew that I was African. I always knew that my father came directly from the homeland. There was a war, which many people lost their lives. My father made it out for and sought America for a better life, where he moved to California. So that is my first steps in learning about African culture is my father. From there, I have a very unorthodox path to African spirituality. Which a lot of people won't understand, but I'll attempt to explain. My first steps towards African spirituality was inside of a Masonic lodge.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! You what? I got to kick you off the platform now, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds crazy, but true. So,
go ahead.
Much like Dr. Ben and Khalid Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad, I I am a member of the Masonic order. So there was one particular brother in the lodge that used to always quiz me on things, always quiz me. And I never had the answers for his questions, because little did I know they were African history questions. Pushing me towards a certain manner. He would give me books to read. And you know, I was starting to question a lot of things because the books that he was giving me, I had never heard any of this information. Some books on Dr. Ben, you know, some books by what's the brother from the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali. There were just different books. I'd never heard this information. So when I got down to the rabbit hole, or the end of the rabbit hole, it made me question everything. So I went on probably a 2-year journey of just looking up different things in history and African phenomena. And then that's when I came to the question that a lot of us come to, and you hear this question throughout the community: what were African people worshiping or doing before the Europeans and Arabs came? And I had to know that question because my father was a Muslim himself. So that pushed me towards learning about African spirituality. And I remember I bought a book called Way of Ifa. This book is by a Caucasian man. I would not recommend this book, but these are my first steps towards where I am now.
Yes.
So in this book, you know, I'm learning about Orisha. I'm learning about Irumale. I'm learning about Olodumare. I'm learning about the Yoruba people. And I go, man, this is very interesting. I wonder what Orisha speaks for me. So I decided I was going to find out. Currently, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I went to seek out Babalawos. I found one, and he was, you know, he agreed to do the divination so we could find out what Orisha spoke for me. When I showed up at this man's house, he reminded me of my father. Which was a little eerie because my father had passed by this time. So I felt comfortable, you know, to come in while he did the divination. First things he says to me once he's done with the Ifa divination, because he used what we call opele chain and ikin, which are palm nuts from a certain type of tree. First thing he says to me is, you are a child of Ogun. Now, I remember reading about Ogun in the book, but I didn't really remember all the things about Ogun. See, like most brothers that go into Ifa divination, I thought I was Shango. Everybody thinks they should. Everybody wants to be.
Yes, sir.
So I just knew he was gonna say, "Yeah, you that guy, the fire, the lightning, the wild, gonna be you." So I had to go back and read more about Ogun, and I said, "Oh yeah, I can see how I this character is interesting." So from then, you know, growing more in the Orisha tradition, but I grew in a way that was more Spanish driven.
When
You
say Spanish, just to clarify, when you say Spanish, you mean derived from the Cuban, Cuban brothers and sisters, and our ancestors were
Santeria, that direction. But I didn't know that I was doing it.
Right.
Because the people I was worshiping with never really did a full analysis on the differences.
Yes.
So I was going in a direction which I thought was traditional. That wasn't.
Right. Okay. So we'll come back to that. But go ahead.
Right. So it took me about 3 years to realize that it was not traditional. And breaking away from that and starting over to
Right.
go a traditional route. So different teachers, different ways, studying another 3 years in that way before I was named an Ogun priest. So
Okay.
that's just a little bit of my journey of how I developed credit hours, as you can say, in the African spiritual space. And
Right.
some of those experiences did inspire me to write this book.
And what is your, do you you have, I'm assuming you have an official title
Yes.
in as a Onisheshe. So what is your official title?
My official title as an Ogun priest is Ologun.
Ologun.
One that either carries Ogun, can make Ogun, reproduce Ogun. When you hit this Olo prefix, this is what they're talking about, has Ogun.
Right.
All these things are loaded into that Olo prefix. It's similar to a prefix, or it's actually the same prefix, as you'll see, is called Oni. This is what Shango people call their priest, Oni Shango. Same type of descriptions for their priests.
So I know most people, when they hear Yoruba or Ifa or Isheshe priest, the term that's going to come to their mind first and foremost is Babalawo. What is the relationship between, you know, yourself and a Babalawo?
So I am also initiated to Ifa.
Right.
There's a stigma where people think just because you are initiated to a deity, you're automatically a priest. And that is not true. Babalawo is an Ifa priest. See, a lot of people call this whole thing Ifa, but it's a more accurate term would be Isheshe, which basically means primordial tradition of the land. You know, we say Isheshe Esini Bile, and we're describing this, what I just said, the primordial worship system of the land. Babalawo are just priests of Ifa. Ifa is the oracle who we consult for divination. The oracle has an Orisha attached to it named Orumila. So Babalawos are priests of Orumila. Just like I am a priest of Ogun. I have not made it yet to priesthood in Ifa. Therefore, I'm not a Babalawo. I am most what they call an Awo or an Awo, which basically is like an initiated person. The Omo prefix means child, so I'm like the child of initiated person. Basically, I'm taking my first footsteps toward priesthood in Ifa. I've gotten a lot further in Ogun than I have in Ifa. So those would be some of some of our titles. You know, just like anything else in African tradition, there are a multitude of things you can call people that take this form. Onifa, Aborisha, you know, Omo Awo, Awofa. There's a multitude of things. Babalorisha, but two main ones is my title in Ogun, which is Ologun, and call me Awo Onifa or Omo Awo.
All right, thank you for that, my brother. So yeah, we just wanted to introduce the Gathered Strong to yourself, the audience to yourself, and we'll get deeper into some of the issues now. So brothers and sisters, you're locked on right now. We're speaking to the brother Black Panther, also known as Ogun Jinni, and we are talking about his book, African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora. We're going to get into the significance of that title. I want to hail up Kushti Cosmetics in the building. Bala is in the building. Jadorian is in the building, and all of the silent viewers as well. Make sure you come through, like up the video, and share the link far and wide. So, my brother, children for children of the African diaspora. Let me start here, and then we're going to get into the significance of African spirituality. Why children of the African diaspora? And by children of the African diaspora, are you speaking exclusively to those of us who are not on the continent?
We are all children of the diaspora.
Okay, all right.
We are all children of the diaspora, even if you're on the continent.
Right.
We're still children of the African diaspora because we're all interconnected. We all share the same, as Garvey said, this one aim, one destiny. We
Yes,
all
sir.
are interconnected by our past and by
Right.
where we need to go.
Yes.
So children of the diaspora isn't targeting a specific group. It's
Yes.
it's only targeting African people worldwide.
Right. Understood. So we want to clarify that.
To us, you know,
Yes,
because
sir.
I believe that African spirituality is not only our birthright, but it's a privilege to be a part of. And in my opinion, some other groups have spoiled their right to ever be a part of our privilege. So I want to
Yes,
speak
sir.
directly to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And in respect now of the terminology African spirituality, which, as I'm sure you are aware, is a term that inspires much controversy. Yeah. I personally find, particularly from those who are not adherents or inclined to African spirituality, but also sometimes, yeah, among those who have a specific expression of African spirituality, yeah. And so one might say, well, you as Onisheshe, you know, you're an adherent to a particular, yes, a devotee of a particular expression. How and why do you give legitimacy to an umbrella term like African spirituality? Is it relevant because African culture and African quote unquote religions are vast and varied, and one is not the same as the other? So what are we talking about when we say African spirituality?
I use the term African spirituality in the title because it was a title that people would be familiar with.
Right.
Later in the book, I introduced Kimoyo,
Yes.
which is the umbrella title from our late great Dr. Fukiao, which I believe
Yes.
more accurately describes the
Right.
rich culture and spiritual traditions of Africa. And I
Yes.
totally agree. There's so much diversity in African systems, far and wide, whether you go from north, south, east to the west. But they have a commonality to them. And I believe
Right.
Kimoyo encompasses and accurately describes this commonality when they talk about vitality and dynamism, as our great
Yeah.
Dr. Fukiao talked about. I believe this word is the most accurate, but I really use the term African spirituality so people would be familiar with the title, so they would want to pick up the book. But in the book,
Yes.
in chapter 3,
Yes.
I introduced the term Kimoyo to the audience, and
Right.
hopefully they will start to use that term to accurately
Okay.
describe our spiritual centers of wisdom.
All right, so let's go into it. Kimoyo, yeah, it's a beautiful word, and I agree with you, as you know, that it's an appropriate terminology as an umbrella, yeah, for referring to our spiritual system. First, let's define what does Kimoyo mean and why it is applicable for how we use it.
Oh, Kimoyo. Kimoyo is a beautiful term. Kimoyo describes the energies that we are manifesting and producing in our African spiritual systems. So, you know, Dr. Fukiao, who is from the Congo, you may be familiar with him. What is the title of his book?
African Cosmology of the Bantu Congo,
Congo.
African Healing Power.
If you read it,
Yeah.
please read it. But where I got the term Kimoyo from was actually his dissertation. He has a dissertation where he talks about Kimoyo, introduced to me by Asar Imhotep.
The dissertation is digging up the past.
Digging up the past. And he talks about vitality and that being at the root of African spirituality. And, you know, I want to read to people because, you know, people don't really understand when I say vitality. What am I mean? Vitality, the state of being strong and active energy. The power of giving continuance of life and presence in all things. That is at the root of what we're talking about. All of our deity, our prayers, our commands, our songs, our just way of being permeate vitality.
Right.
And that in itself was brilliant when he attached that to his own practice and alluded to it being in Africa and other places. You know, we have other terms in that dissertation, like Inkwa Moyo, which he talks about, Dingo Dingo, and they talk about it encompassing with Kimoyo, and it not being something separate, but their
Yeah.
way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at African culture, there is no separation.
Yes.
They did in everyday life from their spiritual
Right.
system. It's
Right.
not monotheism or polytheism or animism or any of these other categories of religion where it's separate and you have to
Yeah.
live a life and then on Sunday, you know, you back to this, or on Saturday, or no, this is a part of our state of being. We are interconnected to this practice. And that when Asar and me had this conversation, I said, this is the most accurate definition of what
Yes, sir.
we're doing. We have to push this out to the people. So that's where Kimoyo came from. That's what Kimoyo means. And it's something that, you know, I believe that we should encompass and use.
100%. So somebody now watching, is saying, but hold on, I'm from the continent and my people are Yoruba, my people are Igbo, my people are Ashanti, my people are Mande. This term doesn't exist. My people are Kikuyu. This term doesn't exist, in our life. How am I, as a Yoruba man, an adherent, a devotee, an onisheshe, I'm gonna use a non-Yoruba term to refer to my spiritual system? Do you believe that the term Kimoyo creates a conflict of that kind of nature? And how do you reconcile that as an onisheshe yourself?
Well, it's simple. These colors behind me tell that story far and wide. I'm a Pan-African. So that means I believe in African unity for our sanity, for our well-being, for our future. And if I believe in that, then I believe in the concept of us doing those connective and collective exercises to become unified in a front that would be for the benefit of African people. So yes, the word is from the Congo. That doesn't, I didn't ask you to enter it into your lexicon. I didn't ask you to, you know, say that you were Congolese. I didn't ask anything. I asked you to recognize the power in the word. The way Africans have been sharing powerful words and powerful rituals and powerful states for eons. There's a article written by Asari Motep in my second Pan-African journal called The African Superhighway of Wisdom. This article talks about different African priests who went to other places in Africa and learned things, and then they brought it back to their village and put it into what they were doing. So that has been a tradition in Africa that's probably not talked about a lot, but it has existed for a long time. You know, from Dr. Kayosa Kajangu to Credo Mutwa to these other African scholars, Mugabinge Bilolo, who talk about this practice that they see something and they encompass it. And people will say, well, you know, my people didn't do that. Oh, no? Well, where does that gungun come from? Because it doesn't come from the Yoruba. Doesn't come from the Yoruba. It comes from the Nupe people. And they, by way of Oya. So we've been doing this for a long time.
For those who may not be aware, brother, this Egungun, just explain what Egungun is or means.
Egungun is a masquerade. It's an ancestral masquerade. It's a way we honor things of the past, lineages of the past, sometimes people of the past. It's a deity unto itself. So it is something that is very popular amongst the Yoruba people. You will see the masquerades come out. You will see them dance. You will see them give instructions. They speak in a certain voice and language, and it's booming. They give demonstrations of their power. You set them on fire. They create fire. They do all types of things. There are so many different types of Egungun. They have their own names and towns and praise poetry and all types of stuff. And as popular as they are in Yoruba culture, they didn't originate there.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
so
yes.
that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about changing the identity of any African. If you are Igbo, you will be Igbo until you die. If you are Akan, you will be Akan until you die. And we want you to speak your beautiful tree language. But this word we can all unite and say, hey,
Right.
we look at what it means. We can identify with that. We do
Yeah.
that. We believe
Yeah.
in that. We
Yes, yeah.
believe in this principle. And when somebody says, hey, maybe 20, 30 years from now that they want to have a Kimoyo festival, hopefully
Yes.
all of the African spiritual practitioners and priests will come and identify with
Right.
what we're trying to make as an umbrella for the continent and a safe space for people to practice their indigenous spiritual system away from monotheism and the
Yes.
persecution that we have faced from people that call us backwards and all this other type of stuff.
Okay, beautiful. And so within that context now, I mean, as a Onisheshe, you've declared your particular adherence. Is the book therefore about Isheshe? Are you bringing, African spirituality, Kimoyo, from the foundation of Isheshe, or does the book broaden out in terms of what it teaches the reader?
Definitely broadens out. In fact, it's not. Right. There's a brief explanation about Isheshe in this book.
Right. Okay.
But it's very vast and very broad. One of the things I wanted to do is not the last chapter, but I believe chapter 6. I wanted to talk about systems that you may have heard about. So I talk about Isheshe. I talk about Akom. I talk about voodoo from West African, Dahomian voodoo or Ewe voodoo. I talk about Haitian voodoo. But I wanted to also introduce you to systems you probably never heard about. So I talk about Esulalu or Asawena in the Senegambian region. I talk about Ekpe, which is a cross river tradition between, Nigeria and I'm thinking Calabance, but it's in that area. It's Cameroon. You'll see that conjunction. We talk about Sande. We talk about Poro from Sierra Leone. We talk about Goma tradition from the Zulus. These I wanted to introduce them because these are the traditions that were left behind in Africa because we either didn't take these people in abundance or people have not been to Africa to even hear about them. So I wanted to introduce them to people. Maybe you haven't heard about Ekpe. Maybe you haven't heard about this leopard society, but maybe you've been to Cuba and see Abuka and wondered where they got it from. Well, they got it from the Ekpe people, from Cross River people. So I wanted to introduce those systems to people that may not have ever heard them and give the book some diversity. And I did not want to make this an Onisheshe book out of no circumstances because, like I said, I have so much further to go in Ifa, and I didn't want to make it about Ogun. So I wanted to introduce, a lot of different systems. And I forgot Afarug, which is another system that I talk about in here, which is amongst the Seri people, which are the people that my last name Injai comes from.
Right. On that subject, my brother, so there are some people who, because of the relationship between African culture and spirituality, but seem to believe that there's a conflict in terms of having lineage from a particular people whilst engaging in the spiritual system that is peculiar to another group of African people. Do you encounter that particular conflict?
My family will fight over me more than anyone. I'll tell you a quick story.
Right.
When I got an article wrote about me in the basketball world, they described me as a Nigerian American.
Okay.
Where they got that from, I had no idea. But my family was like, Nigeria? Hold on, he's Gambian. He's Gambian.
Right.
So yes, that there is that just African pride kicks in. I mean, we've seen the George Rice Wars. I mean,
Yep.
proud of their people. But
Yes.
I will say this for the African American:
Mm-hmm.
we don't have the luxury to be.
Right.
Unfortunately, because of our experience in the transatlantic slave trade, we have 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 ethnic groups.
Yes, sir.
Encoded in our DNA now.
Yes, sir.
Because of the kidnapping and the mixing on these black breeding farms and the intermingling in America, all the way down to you in 2024, you have a whole bunch of stuff. Even though I am mostly Senegambian by DNA,
yes,
I also have Nigerian.
Yes,
I also have Ghanaian.
Yes.
I also have Benin. I also have Central African countries in me. So, and I'm not an anomaly in that. My children have the same type of DNA test. My wife has the same type of DNA test. Every African American I have met has multiple ethnic groups in their DNA just because of our circumstance. So, when they talk about starting one place and ending another, brother, when it comes to the systems that we are most likely to be engaged in because of the popularity of them in America, more than likely you got some ancestors in this particular system. Now, that's not to say you can't learn about, what you're the majority of, because I went to go find the stone circles in Senegal. I went to go visit what we call not Saltigu, that's the priest. The Fangu. I went to go find them in Senegal. So I never turned my back on those people and just say, well, I'm an Onisheche. I don't know. No.
Right.
But in my personal practice every day, it's Onisheche. But I also give reverence and homage to my Seri ancestors, to my Wolof ancestors, to my Jola ancestors, because my grandmother was Jola, to all of these people in these ethnic groups that make up me. So I practice one, but I honor them all.
And my understanding would suggest that being an Onisheche encourages you to do exactly what you just described.
Yes, we're not dogmatic in you must just do this, you must just do that, you must just no. One of the first divinations I ever got, they said, get closer to your father's people.
Right.
Why would they tell me to do that? They knew my father's people in Europe. Not only that, but when I went to Senegambia, I'm walking through the Gambian Museum, the National Gambian Museum in Banjul, and walking through, right on the wall, I thought I was seeing things. I see a painting of an Egungun, a Yoruba. Now, what is this doing? This isn't. I found out that Nigerian people at one point were present in Gambia, and they were present with their masquerade. So instead of Egungun in Wolof, it was Agugu. But it was in fact a masquerade, and they had the Oriki, which is praise poetry, which we use to invoke deities. They had the Oriki in the museum.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Serious thing about that ethnogenesis, that collective sharing of cultures that happen in different points of history. Even before the Europeans came, we were still there. Like my brother used to say, there are no electric fences in Africa. So we were traveling, and one king would fall, and we would go into another king. Like, I have a lot of Mali influence in my life. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. Everyone's seen The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
The Lion King, from what has been said by the producers, is loosely based on Sundiata Keita's life. So Sundiata Keita was the Mansa of Mali at one point. He's the king. So after Mali fell, lots of people went into Senegambia.
Yep.
Lots of people went into that region. The character in the Lion King is named Simba. Right? Simba is a lion, right?
Yep.
Sundiata Keita is the Lion of Africa. He is known as the Lion of Africa. My last name, Injai, has a masquerade, and the masquerade's name is Simba.
Wow.
The masquerade and my last name are related to lions. My last name means last name of the lion that roars.
Okay. Okay.
Type of stuff I'm talking about.
No, you're kind of delving into my next question, So you're kind of semi answering it already, right? Because enough people, when we say Kimoyo, when we say African spirituality, again, they try to stick the label of illegitimacy on us because of diversity and difference. So and I've asked this question to many people, but let me ask it to you. And you can explain how you explain it in the book as well, without giving too many spoilers. I want people to buy the book, which you can find in the link in the description to the video. But what commonalities, what shared essence, what shared energies that you see within indigenous African spiritual systems that guides you to the idea that Kimoyo African spirituality is a valid concept, a valid paradigm?
So many commonalities, from the way we give libations to our words of power and affirmation in our prayers, to the foods that we use to appease our deities. But one example that comes to mind is ironically from Ogun. So in Ogun's praise poetry, his Oriki, you will hear Ogun Lakae, which means Ogun, the one who is known all over the world.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, why would they say that Ogun is known all over the world? Well, there's a couple of different reasons.
Yes, sir.
One, because of what Ogun represents, the iron, metal, and how that is related to industry and pushing civilization forward all over the world, right? Technology, all that's assigned to Ogun. We understand that. We get that. The metallurgy movement in Africa propelled us in a way to where, we went in this direction and our building was different. So we understand that's all over Africa, and that makes sense all over the world. But what is also not talked about is Ogun you can find in other systems.
Right.
So if you go to Haiti, you will find Ogun. Right? When you
they got about 20 different Ogun in Haiti still.
Ogun, Ogun, that. You be like, dang, Ogun. How many Oguns is it over here? You'll find him in Igbo as Ikinga.
Yes.
Same attributes, same type of strong demeanor. You will find him there as well. I'm trying to remember. I think his name is Adade Kofi amongst the Akan. Same type of brute strength war deities. You will find him there as well. So and the more I find Ogun, or a deity that is comparable to Ogun in a lot of different African traditions throughout the continent, you go, oh, okay. The one that is known all over the world. He is sort of everywhere. Okay, I get it. And these commonalities are like, man, what made all these civilizations say that we need a deity for hunting, war, strategy, technology, metallurgy? What made all these places adopt a deity like that? That's some of those commonalities that you are talking about that we put under the umbrella of Kimoyo, because let's say all of these deities were different people and they all got in the room, they would be looking at each other like, oh, you,
yeah.
oh, oh, y'all do that. You know, I can do the same thing with Eshu. You know, we have Eshu or Elegbara. We have Papa Legba in Haitian Voodoo. We have Legba amongst the Ewe and the Dahomey. You'll have Ikweshu amongst the Igbo, and so on and so forth. You'll find this
Anansi among the Akan.
Anansi among the Akan. You'll find this deity, this messenger, this person who is so close with the creator that he has his own special path to walk. This man at the crossroads, this man that transcends time and space and things of that nature. This man that takes sacrifices, this man that tricks you. This is the deity that all of these different, even when you get to America, you talk about the man at the crossroads and hoodoo. Describing the same thing. So, you know, these type of commonalities have permeated through African communities for generations.
Right.
And, you know, when you talk about illegitimacy, I find it funny that they put that on diversity, because how many different types of Christians do you know? Jesus Christ. I mean, the Baptist, the Episcopalians, the Pentecostal, all these different type of Christians. But since we got diversity, where the illegitimate was, how many different types of Islam do you know? From the Sunni to the Shia to the Sufi to the Nation of Islam to all these different types of Muslims. Why is our diversity being punished when there's diversity in everything in life, not just religions, but everything has diversity? What thing do you know that's one way?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, beautiful, beautiful. And so we've got an explanation of the commonalities. By the way, brothers and sisters, we are taking your questions for Brother Ogunjimi. So please, if you want me to read your question or comment, please at Kimbonga Media somewhere in your comment, just so I know that it's separated from conversation in the chat and you want me to actually read it. And if we've got some time later on, maybe I'll share the link and one or two people can come on and ask their question directly. A couple of you have done that already, but please at Kimbonga Media. And if there are any of my moderators watching, if you know something that you think is supposed to be read out but they haven't at Kimbonga Media, please just reshare it and notify me, and I'll make sure that question comes through.
Stormy winds in Swahili, right?
Yeah, so Kimbunga, it means whirlwind storm related to that kind of energy.
See you in the whirlwind.
Yeah, so you're right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the energy that we're invoking with Kimbunga, So yeah, give thanks for that. So brothers and sisters, we're gonna we've dealt with the commonalities. Now, unfortunately, because of our sojourn as African people and what our brother referred to earlier in terms of persecution, demonization, etc., one of the things that is common, to African spirituality are caricatures, misrepresentation, and slander, right? And so one of the things that you say you do in the book, my brother, is you challenge, some of these misconceptions, mischaracterizations, and so on. And bro, as I was saying to you before, like, I was watching House of Consciousness the other day. You know, on a rare occasion, they had an Ianifa on the panel. So I thought, let me check out what the Ianifa, because it's rare for an Ianifa to feature on Sarnetta amidst the Hebrews and those who are dealing with Kemet and those who are dealing with, you know, Islam and etc., right? So I thought, let me check this one out. And almost the entire conversation, after a certain point, was brothers and sisters throwing all kinds of stereotypes at the sister. And I'm so familiar with the stereotypes, I can almost predict what's going to be said, what the order is going to come in, what's going to come next, what article they're going to use, right? And so it became
being white men.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Every single British colonial trope, ended up right in the conversation. So we're talking about everything from human sacrifice to twins being killed, to what's the word, albinos, being hunted down, and using rituals and all kinds of different things, and a few other things. So what misconceptions, what slander do you challenge in the book?
In the book, I like to challenge the misconceptions of people that have attached things to African spiritual systems that are not African at all.
Right.
So we're in the middle of the New Age movement. We're in the New Age movement, and it's it's something that I watched come into the community and take a strong foothold.
Yes.
The New Age movement is not rooted in Africa.
Absolutely.
And you will come into these spaces with Pan-Africanism members of many walks of life that will try to sell you on New Age spirituality as a trope of African spirituality.
Yes.
So, the chakras, the tarot cards, crystals, the extreme veganism. Some people say you can just eat the sun. You will hear all of these things,
right?
And they will try to convince you. And now it's cool if these things, if you trying to introduce them, they should be able to stand on their own, but they can't do that. So they have to try to attach them, spirituality of the continent. And I have to be the one to tell them, hey, all that stuff comes from white people. The angel numbers, the numerology, the flat earth, all of it has a white person behind it, which a black person has copied and tried to pass it off as their own. And this is the type of the things, that I talk about in the book. I like to call it third eye blind. Particularly talking about people with this third eye thing. And they'll point to Kemet. They'll say, hey, well, this eye is all over the temple. It's either eye of Heru or eye of Hara or eye of a star or whatever. These eyes, you can't tell me the third eye isn't African. And I like to remind them that the eye comes from Heru in its earliest form. And I want you to show me a picture where Heru has three eyes.
Absolutely.
He's always had two.
Right.
One of his eyes was knocked out in battle against Set.
Yes.
And that is the eye that became like a protector. The same thing with Eye of Ra. They just turned different directions. So there's never been a deity in which we have this third eye thing that comes from Hinduism.
Yes.
And a lot of people just don't know that because they have tried to do this synergy thing with Hinduism and African spirituality, even though these are totally different people in totally different areas of the world. And I must say that the Hindu people themselves in the area in which they live and work is one of the most racist places you'll ever go in your life. These people have a whole caste system for darker people. And it hasn't changed since ancient times. Even up until 5-6 years ago when the now transition brother Runoku Rashidi went and he was treated a certain way. And they had this name for these people that were dark, the untouchables. They haven't changed. And they did that to people of their own race. What you think they're gonna do to us? So if you have a spiritual concept, it should be strong enough to stand on its own culture, its own merit, its own origin. But this usually does not happen when it comes in our community. They try to attach for the benefit of, number one, making money. Don't forget capitalism. They will do this so they can sell their beads, their waist beads, their cards, their crystals, their books, everything like that. They will do that to sell things because they know if you don't think it has African root in this community, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So they do these type of things. So those are the type of things that I dispel in the very first chapter, because we can't build a foundation of Kimoyo on top of that.
No, I agree, bro. I agree. I'm very I've said many times that we have to overcome this new age baggage that we've inherited. Even me grew up in African spirituality, right? But there's a lexicon, yeah, that has been so influential that in the history, like I've like being a spoken word artist, I've used certain terminology, right? That's just become popular, right? And then when you check it, you have to realize that, this is not coming from our own.
Where does this even come from? Why do I even say this?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I complicated my own life when I went into Sematawi, yeah. You know what I'm saying, practicing them, and them kind of things there. So it's like I experience that conflict sometimes, but just that this whole new age thing, it's because of the fact that we live in a society whereby spirituality has become individualistic and capitalistic. Yeah, that whole phenomena is so easy, yeah, to put through that lens, and so that it just creates a natural conflict. So now people are leaving organized religion and getting into all things to all people. They don't want to join an order whereby there are checks and balances, there's accountability.
He used to say it's like changing clothes without bathing.
Right.
And people think that only religions have structure and order, and when I get out on my own, I'm gonna be able to do what I want when I want, pray to who I want. You ain't gonna be able to. I don't know what you looking for, brother and sister, but that ain't Africa. We have taboos, we have readings, we have special prayers for this, we have protocol, we have things you cannot give the deity, we have things you cannot say, we have times you can't even talk when collecting materials for a deity. So if that is your reason, if that's your why for leaving the church, stay there. Because you're not gonna be happy over here. It's colors you can't even wear depending on your lot in life, or foods you can't eat, or it's still structured. That doesn't mean it falls under a monotheism or a religious category, so to speak. But in all things, we have structure. In fact, we were the first people to institute this type of structure into our spiritual places, where you greet a man that's sitting down a certain way, or a woman crossing the street in a certain word, or you prostrate in front of people a certain way. That was us.
Right. Yep. Absolutely, my brother. So now I want to deal with two misconceptions. Yeah, and I would say half truths or distortions, or depending on period of time and context, right? But the first one is concerning human sacrifice. Yeah?
I knew it.
So somebody's listening right now and saying, but this guy worships Ogun, and Ogun wants human sacrifice. Yeah, Ogun demands human flesh as an offering. Yeah, that's what someone is saying right now, my brother. So just let the people them know. They want to know, brother Ogun Jimmy, does Ogun demand that you sacrifice human beings? Yeah, do you have a fridge in your house full of the human beings that you sacrifice? Yeah, in the name of Ogun. We need to know. My brother, we need to know.
Out of all of my years in this tradition, Ogun has never demanded a human sacrifice from me.
Right. Okay.
But I can tell you a story of human sacrifice in Yoruba land. This is very interesting, because people when they hear human sacrifice, they always think about it one way. Well, let me give you another way to think about it. See, and I'm gonna tell you, like this brother says on TikTok. See, the Yoruba people had a problem. So you might have seen this guy, but the Yoruba people were in intense conflict with their Arab African converts in other places in Africa. So you're talking about the people that have converted to Islam in places like Mali, in places like, you know, the Songhai, you know, people like that. They were having conflict with these people. And it was getting to the point where three African nations within Yoruba land were like tired of this, because the Arabs had a one up, or the African people that were practicing Islam had a one up on the Yoruba people. They had horses. The horse was a game changer on the battlefield.
Absolutely.
We had never seen no horses. What are these things that they're riding into battle, giving them the advantage? So the Arabs were selling horses to these Africans practicing Islam in exchange for slaves. So they could continue to be dominant. We could continue to be subservient. So the Eketi, the Oyo, and the Ile Ife people got together and they said, you know, we got to find a way to get some horses. Do you know where to get some horses from? So tribes like the Masi, the Wangara, they had horses. And if anybody knows about the Masi, they were not with any form of foreign religion. So they agreed to give the Yoruba people some horses. Some of the Masi people went with the Yoruba people to fight this Arab invasion, so to speak. So they fought. This war is called the War of Ara in the Yoruba history. When the Yoruba people were victorious, they took prisoners, like all warriors happen. And to this day, we taking prisoners. When they took these prisoners, they sacrificed these people to their Ogun shrines. Now, when I say sacrifice these people to their Ogun shrines, I didn't say that they did any divination, that they did any you know, offerings of standard cola nuts or anything. No, they executed them like you would execute a regular prisoner. They just did it in front of Ogun. So what is the difference? Them executing their enemies in front of their deity to what fire squads do to people in front of Jesus Christ. Because firing squads used to have a Bible presence. They would last will and test, all that stuff would happen. So what is the difference? But people don't tend to think of human sacrifice in that
kind of way.
Because they're not thinking about the war. They're not thinking about these wars that happen. They weren't just grabbing people and say, "Oh, I need this guy for a ritual on Saturday." That's not what the Yoruba people were doing. This example of human sacrifice was attached to a war. Now, there were people in different kingdoms that were buried with kings. That has happened. That has since stopped happening. The great thing about culture is it is self-correcting. If we are doing something wrong, at some point you will hear a story about an oracle or a priest saying we need to stop doing this. So in the example of albinos, albinos used to be looked at as cursed children at one point, until the king had an albino. Go ahead. So over time, because of this, albinos become special children of Obatala. And now they are protected. They're looked at as sacred. So are people with humpbacks. They are protected. People with you know, different deformities. One of special children of Obatala, because in the Yoruba tradition, Obatala molds us all. Similar to Khnum in Egypt, molds character. So
Yeah.
they become special children. The twins,
Mm-hmm.
until the king had a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how nature corrects itself. Like, oh, well, we got to think about this. Nah,
Yeah.
So now the twins become representative of a deity.
Yes.
Ibeji. They are deity in
Yeah.
themselves now,
Mm-hmm.
just because of this occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's self-correcting. But I find it very, very arrogant that these people will pull these things out when they usually represent systems and institutions that have enslaved entire millions of people. How many albinos do you think there could have possibly be? This is a genetic anomaly and they made some mistakes. How many twins do you think could possibly be? How many people do you think were executed because of war? These guys represent Islam, Christianity.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about 12 million people that you kidnapped on the low end. So how dare you look down your nose at me?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Bro, the concept and the act of human sacrifice is far more prevalent in the history of Christian Europe. Yeah, right.
Like, come on.
Like anywhere on the African continent.
Really?
It's mad. And so it's interesting that even in the minds of African people, when you hear human sacrifice, automatically you're thinking of some indigenous African spiritual system. And then for others, it's like if I kill somebody and say Allah Akbar, it's all well and good. If I kill somebody, and say Imole, then it's
that's too far. I like to remind Christians that your whole entire religion is based on human sacrifice.
Yeah. True.
And when you go on that first Sunday, you eating the body and drinking the blood of a man. I have never done that in my practice. Never.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a cannibal. My tradition doesn't call me to be a cannibal.
Yes, sir.
So I like to remind them before you get all high and mighty and righteous, maybe circumvent some of this stuff in your own Bible, where you have people giving away their daughters to be raped and other things that have happened in that book that question one's character and morals.
Absolutely. You know what, brother? The beautiful thing about your answer is that it touches on something that I've said many times to people when these stereotypes are thrown at me. People don't give African spiritual systems and African culture in general afford us the capacity to self-correct. So whenever something is wrong in among us, whenever something is unjust, we require Western liberalism or an Abrahamic religion to come in and correct it for us. And in fact, that was actually said in so many words on the aforementioned show on House of Consciousness that I was talking about with the Ianifa, that it's the Christians and the Muslims who are campaigning against these wicked acts that are done by these African spiritualists. By the way, most people that do this, they can never identify the name of the spiritual system that they're talking about. They can never identify, what is the social order, what are the titles associated with the infrastructure of they can never do that. You know what I'm saying? So
but it's because of, and people got to understand the game. We have to play like you can't govern yourselves. Because number one, you're savages. You're backward people. You're people that need us. And why do you need us? Because of social Darwinism. And I want to introduce that term to people that may not know what social Darwinism is. Social Darwinism is a term that is used to describe evolution in a twisted way for conquering. So social Darwinism says, if I can, and I have the ability, then I should conquer you and take your resources and your land to become powerful. So let me give you some examples of social Darwinism. Doctrine of discovery is social Darwinism. Dumb Diverses by Pope Nicholas to enslave all African people that were not Christians. That's social Darwinism.
Yep.
The inclination by the European that if I can, I should, and it is God's will and my right as his son to colonize and neo-colonize your African nation because you're not like me. And you're not me. So I should conquer you and your people. That is social Darwinism. That is ingrained into every European kingdom you can think of. So they have to get in the door with religion. After, they're going to come take your shit. And by your shit, I mean your minerals, your land, your resources. And guess what? When they get there, they're going to be, oh, your culture, all your culture's not that bad. They're going to steal some things from your culture too. I want
and then send it back to you.
Yeah, I want people to go look at like King Louis. Why is he wearing a leopard skin?
Yeah.
When did he start doing that? That is what they will do. They will take your stuff, sell it back to you, take your resources, all in the name of you need Jesus or Allah, whatever European god that they come up with. And people, a great example of this, I don't know if people saw the old Black Panther cartoon that used to come on BET before, it got to Marvel. And there's this part where they want to invade Wakanda. And this priest is talking to this guy, and he said, all that technology they got, and they still pray to that Panther god. It disgusted him that they would not conform to their religion. So they sent this knight with this special blade there, and his sole mission was to convert them to Christianity. His sole mission. He didn't care nothing about nothing else.
Nope.
Gotta get them on the religious tip, because once you get the mind, once you get these people to believe that their ancestors were evil, practicing their indigenous tradition, you got it.
Yes, bro. I'm gonna give you one more stereotype misconception, and we're gonna get some questions from the viewing audience. Yeah, this one is a big one. It's taken over the conscious community, and that is the S word. Yeah, spookism. All right. The S word. Yeah. Now, is Kimoyo African spirituality spookism? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you have I was gonna say you got a unique take on this particular topic, because whilst I've kind of challenged it and rejected it, you've got a unique take on this one. That's why I'm asking you this one. So tell me, is it spookism?
I say absolutely. I'm gonna tell you
why.
Spook are what? Spirits.
Yes.
Spookism is the act of engaging in spirits.
Right.
End of definition. What are we so offended about?
I get you.
Now, let's take it a bit further. Isn't Christianity spookism?
But that's the argument then, bro. That's our engagement.
But
are we no better than the Christians and the Muslims then, if we're dealing with spooks, right? And does our engagement in African spirituality negate our capacity to engage in science and scientific development?
We're see, pseudoscience is a symptom of white supremacy.
Okay, interesting.
I tell people this all the time. This is why we have gone away from being scientists because the Europeans drove us away from being scientists. When they arrived in Africa, they didn't find, everybody's not a priest, bro. Everybody's not a warrior. Everybody's not a farmer. We had our own scientists. We had our own botanists. We had our own people that made concoctions and tested and did all types of things, from pregnancy tests to C-sections. We had doctors. We had all this stuff. They took us out of that environment.
Yes.
They made us slaves.
Yes.
They rose up the scientific ranks, and then they told us what? You're crazy for trying to run away. Drapetomania. They made up some shit. And another hot take I have is scientific racism doesn't exist because the minute you make it racism, it is no longer science.
Yes.
It's just racism. They were just racist. So they drove us away from science. They created these scientific institutions. They didn't allow us in for centuries. And now it's different to where we can go behind and test. And because of the crazy things that some Europeans have done,
right,
the red tape in science is because of those actions. But now, after hundreds of years of beating us down with this anti-science stuff, we're not interested anymore. And now we have this mindset of that's the white man's science. That's the that's the science they stole from you and they built on to make the science today. That's arguably our birthright.
Right.
Get into science.
Right.
I have never told anyone to not get into science because science in our original societies went hand in hand with our spiritual system. It wasn't separated. Even if you look at the old ancient Egyptian papyrus, because they like to celebrate they like to separate ancient Egypt, like ancient Egypt didn't have Kimoyo, which
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you about that. You answered it. Go ahead.
They will talk about astronomy, right? Astronomy is a hard science even today.
Yeah,
but they will say that it is because of Asar that gave them astronomy. Does that take from their calculations? No. Does that take from the things they got right? The center of the earth? No. Does that take from them talking about Orion's belt and lining it up with the Giza Plateau? No. It's just who they gave the credit to. It wasn't separated for them. So people like to say, well, it has no bearing. We don't need it. Things of that nature I've heard over and over and over and over. But one thing about African spirituality that no one can deny that we need, African spirituality, no matter whether you go north, south, east, or west, is predicated upon character.
Right.
We vastly and desperately need a checks and balance in character. You can be the world's greatest scientist, the world's greatest mathematician, the richest man on earth. And if you have no character, all those things belong to something else or someone else. And preferably, it's probably, without a doubt, going to be the enemy of African people. So on that basis alone, we need to study our ancestors' works, be a part of it, get the credit hours in it so we can see the world through their eyes, the pain, the joy, the laughter, and everything in between. We can even make some tweaks. It's not an invaluable system.
Right.
But you have to actually practice it to make recommendations. We're not going to do what white people do and go from the outside looking in and say, well, no. You have to learn why we do things before you make suggestions. I have trust me, I have suggestions that I've said to people. We're not dogmatic in a manner in which you can't challenge or can't say. No, this is an ever moving system in our continent. It's if you go back to the slave trade to now, there's some things that have changed.
Okay, absolutely.
It's not a necessity. It's not a microwave change, but it's something where we go through the time and go, you know what, we probably can do this better.
Yeah.
So that's what I
absolutely. Give thanks, my brother. We're going to take some questions from the audience. Trigger Happy is asking, saying, even the Akan come from another place. I think this is relating to your point about the relationship between different Africans. But more than that, the ethnogenesis is a combination of groups. This is true. It seems the more you break down origins, tribalism makes no sense. actual facts. I watched a brother from Nigeria. I can't remember which people group he was from. Do a DNA test one time, and he was shocked. Yeah, about the results that came back and how connected he was to people that he thought he had no connection with, that lived nowhere, that did not live in Nigeria. So that's an interesting point. Trigger Happy continues that Akan is diverse in groupings. Even the Nzema isn't the intelligible. So even Nzema isn't that intelligible to Tree. I'm sure it's going to say unintelligible. For example, but still Akan, but still even though Nzema, isn't that intelligible. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Tree, but it's still Akan. I get what
you
you're saying.
You have that in Africa where different ethnic groups within the same borders have languages that are not intelligible to themselves.
Yes.
So I remember I met a Ugandan in Iraq. They were guarding the border in Iraq. It's Ugandans, and I asked them why they spoke English to each other.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, because he's from the north, and I can't understand a thing he says when he speaks." I said, "That's impossible." And I asked the guy from the north, and he said, "Nah, I can't understand him when he speaks his native language." But then I thought about like a guy from the deep south and a guy from like up north.
Yeah.
I can't understand what they say.
And that's the thing, right? Because when you study it linguistically, you may find some connections,
right?
That people don't, but the people that are living now and speaking it now don't know those connections, right? You know what I'm saying? In fact, there's a book that I'm sure it was I first heard about it from Asar actually, entitled "How Igbo and Yoruba Became Different Languages." Or something of that kind.
There's so many cultural similarities between Igbo and Yoruba people. It's ridiculous. And you'll meet Yoruba and Igbo people and act like they didn't meet each other until the 1900s.
Exactly.
And I said, I didn't know y'all had electric fences near each other.
You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
One of you is in southeastern Nigeria, one of you in southwestern Nigeria. You trying to tell me that you never came across a Yoruba man until the 1900s?
It's so ridiculous. And you know, the thing is, all of that is this colonial consciousness that we've made our own, because it doesn't even make sense. It's similar to this idea, you touched on it already, that, you know, Africa, the Nile Valley has a force field around it, that kept out anybody called so-called Bantu, right? Anybody could go to the Nile apart from the so-called Bantu.
They even wrote about these
Bantu force field.
They still don't believe it. They still don't believe it. They wrote about them. They're like, oh no, there was some other people. They told you where they was at. They said below the Nile Delta. They said these grew them. They still don't believe it.
It's so ridiculous.
God almighty, man. Like, but that's colonialism and neo-colonialism working effectively. The tribalism, you know, I don't have any problem with people having pride in where they're from and celebrating who they are, no matter what your ethnic group is. But when it comes to the point of, you know, some type of xenophobia, is when I kind of draw the line. You know, as a Pan-African, all African people who are originated in Africa are my brothers and sisters. You know, when I met Ethiopians, I told I admire their dances. You know, that they do. You know, I said that y'all be pop locking, like, you know, man, dances is crazy. You know, like,
absolutely.
When I went to South Africa, I was chilling with the Zulus and the you know, and the Pei and the Lesotho and I had a great time in the Lesedi village, man. You know, no matter where I go, if I meet Africans, man, you know, it's a vibe. Like,
it's a vibe. Yeah,
I don't get into the separation to the point of where we have to start hating each other, because whether your group was in the transatlantic slave trade or not, your group was probably in another slave trade, probably in the trans-Saharan slave trade or East African slave. It was in something. Like, they didn't just leave you alone.
Real talk. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that fields like epigenetics is studying to see how this trauma goes through DNA and affects us even to this day. So, you know, I love my African people, continent and off the continent wide. So
Yes, sir.
it's just how I operate.
Yeah, that's 100%, my brother. We're gonna get through these comments now. The commonalities seem to be clear over and over again. Would this not support the political project of unifying African spiritual practices for a unified Africa? It's an interesting question. We're gonna come to the.
I believe in us having unified what's the word, treaties or agreements within African nations to where we support each other politically. But a unified African spiritual practice is utterly impossible. It goes back to what I said earlier. How many different types of Christians you know?
Yep.
They can't unify either. Because this practice, and I'm speaking, let me just speak for Isheshe for a moment. Even within Isheshe, it is so diverse.
True.
We have what we call Odu, which are spiritual signs connected to a story, which connected to a type of sacrifice we need to make, which is connected to all types of literature for our betterment.
Yeah.
Even the order isn't the same when you go
to
places in Yoruba. Because if you go to Ile Ife, they have their own order. And when you go to Oshogo, which my lineage is from, it's a different. Even when you go, see, and this gets back to the diversity within ethnic groups, because like we say, there are no electric fences. So when you go to the border of Yoruba land and it's borders another place like Cameroon or Benin, or you get different type of Yoruba people.
Yes.
That they may have Olodumare, but they might pronounce it Edumare.
Yeah.
They might just say Olorun. They might just say another type of Kamba. It might be the same thing, but they pronounce it deity. Even the word Ashe. If you go to Oyo, they say Ashe. The S drops the dot. No longer Ashe for them. That's Oyo dialect. They don't have Osun, they have Osun. So the diversity even within our borders, and you'll start to see things that you've never seen before in Yoruba land, because these people are border and they're being influenced by other Africans. So Olokun looks different amongst the Odon and the Esan people than it would look with the Yoruba people. And so it's impossible to tell people stop doing what you've doing for thousands of years and we gonna do one thing. Like, so what language are we supposed to? Is everybody supposed to learn Swahili? Is everybody supposed to learn Yoruba? Is everybody supposed to learn Igbo? Like it would just be impossible.
So how does what you're saying now though challenge or validate? How does it fit into the concept of Kimoyo? If that is an impossibility, does that therefore invalidate Kimoyo as a conceptual framework?
No, because even if we are diverse, we are still have these commonalities that we talked about.
Right.
Oshun is the deity of magic amongst the Asan, and she is the water deity amongst the Yoruba. They can still identify the same commonalities. This is still a Kimoyo practice. This is still a common that vitalism, that vitality, that dynamism that Dr. Fukia talked about is still present. It may be different. It may be different, but it's still common to the African spiritual phenomenon, which we are trying to describe when we say things like Kimoyo. So just like in the political news, Niger, what's the other place? Is it Chad? Niger, Chad, and there's one other African country. Burkina Faso. They've been dealing a lot with each other. They have strong African leaders now that are not.
Oh, you're talking about Burkina Faso, Mali, and Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger.
Niger. So they've been dealing with each other politically, and they've they've made a type of bond to where they're not going to sell each other out, and they're challenging Western imperialism. They haven't abandoned their own cultures. They're just presenting a unified front, and that would be something that would be beneficial for all of Africa.
Yes, sir.
That's what the Sahel Alliance.
Yes,
it's something that can be beneficial, but it doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you're doing and adopt a one type of conglomerate spiritual system. But you can be united still in your aim and in your destiny and in your goal. And
absolutely.
Yes,
sir. 100%, my brother. You, when you're speaking, I was reminded of I don't know if you're familiar with Derek Afolarinwa of the Medicine Show. He breaks down Ordinala Igbo spirituality. His channel, he breaks that down very well. But I saw an interview with him one time, and he was breaking down some ceremony or ritual within Ordinala. But he was breaking down the history of it, and he said if you look at the story within the ritual, they're saying that this thing actually began in Congo, right? You know what I'm saying, and found its way to. I can't remember the details, so forgive me, but it was just a mad story. You know what I'm saying about that connection. So when I get the details again, I'll break it down. When you come back, I'll have the details and we'll discuss it in more detail. More comments.
I think I do have that system covered in the book, I believe.
Right, cool.
I introduced that system as well.
Yes,
beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's variously referred to as Ordinala or Ordinani. That you get different references to the Igbo spiritual system. And furthermore, would this political project not break down ethnicism? Not necessarily the elimination of ethnic groups or nations, but the further interconnection of our groups. What's your thoughts on?
I think we can interconnect without breaking down.
Yes,
we definitely can interconnect because we have a common problem in Africa, and politically, our leaders sell us out. Unfortunately, that's what happens. I have a family member, won't say who on this broadcast, but he was running for an office in Gambia, and voting in Gambia or voting in Africa, period, is a different activity. Because you can lose your life running for an office, voting for the wrong, it's really different. So people, when you see these political people in Africa running for office, just know that they are putting their lives on the line for the betterment of Africa, or they are puppets. There's no no in between. They're either Western imperialist puppets, or they are putting their lives on the line for the betterment of their country. My relative was jailed after he lost. He didn't even win. He lost, and they jailed him. That is a reality. So we all have that problem in Africa. So interconnecting on that issue would be beneficial for us.
100%, bro. Actually, I'm gonna be in Gambia soon, so really? I need you to let me know where I can find the so-called traditionalists. You know what I'm saying?
Try to drive.
Listen, I know.
We drove so far to find them. Hey, and when we found it was a little sign. That said UNESCO.
Right.
That way. Like, how would I
amazing.
Found this? We had to add because I was riding with my nephew and his friend that was a educator. So they're asking people while we're driving in Waldorf. Like, nobody knew where this place was. Like, they knew it existed.
Existed,
They didn't know where it was. And finally, we found this place. It was probably like 2-3 hours away from Banjul. I'll be honest.
Amazing. It's funny, you know. And if you don't know what you're looking for, I was lucky the first time I went to Ghana that I had a brethren who, you know, was able to show me different things, because you will see big churches, big mosque, but you would walk past you know, an indigenous spiritual shrine and not know what you're looking at.
What you're looking at,
right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, unless you know what to look for. Yeah,
they have a
and
whole
so it's amazing.
museum. They have a museum next to the stone circles. They like breaks down the history.
Okay.
Circles.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. Now, if you go to Senegal, there are more stone circles.
Right. Right.
So you know, they do a great job breaking them down. Yeah. They have
I might. If I've got time, I'm gonna try and cross the border as well and go into Senegal as well, and see what, you know, see what I can. But yeah, like I said, in them places there, because it's so. When I went to Sierra Leone, same thing. Yeah, like almost everybody's Muslim or Christian, so it's very difficult to find, you know, those who are, you know, dealing with Kimoyo.
Same thing. When I was in Senegal, you know, everybody's Muslim, but I told, you know, my family, I ain't here for the mosque. I'm here. Come on.
Right.
I know it's gonna be far. I know y'all done drove out of town. So I get in the car. We come on, take me to where I want to go now.
100%. 100%.
Everywhere I go, I find it now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Trigger Happy. I don't remember what the video was called, you know, but I'll find it in a future show. I'll make it known. Yeah.
I wonder if I know this woman. This Ianifa.
Yeah. Maybe so. I can't even remember her name myself, to be honest with you. But in fact, we'll come back to that, because some people are gonna want to know what, you know, how to avoid certain bad characters that are operating. So I know you're a man that deals with that subject. So we'll come back to that in a second. Yeah. D1 Beats, big up D1 Beats in the building, and big up. I saw Brother Rakeem Shabazz, Wise the Dome, in the building as well. So big up yourself, King. Question for both of you: what are the common ethnic groups in Africa you know of, or West Africa, don't identify or align with Abrahamic religions like Yoruba? That's an interesting question.
The one off the top of my head is the old Dahomians.
Yeah.
The Benin people of today.
People,
because they are probably the most proud of their African heritage, because they have a voodoo day.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, because we have Isheshe Day too, but when I say a voodoo day, like the majority of the people in the country. That voodoo festival is off the chain, and I have to go one day. But yeah, it's so big. So I would say our brothers and sisters in Benin and Dahomey off the top of my head. Man, D1, did he do a song with Oluwaseyi?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, this is D1 Beats. This is D1 Beats. Yeah.
Man, that's my joint, boy. Hey, man. Hey, I put that on my Facebook, man. If I was a UFC fighter, I would come out to that joint right there, man.
Yeah.
D1 Beats. You did that one, my boy. You did. That was my joint for real.
Yes,
I said, what did I said, I got something in my playlist or something.
Yeah. The Garvey freestyle, my thing.
Man, if I was a UFC fighter, boy, I come out to that joint.
Yes, King.
That boy, they called him a sun dodger.
Yeah, they got D1 Beats. It's interesting, you know. I'm hearing a lot of stories about even the Mossi, like you said, the Mossi, they didn't deal with, you know, anything foreign religion, right? But apparently a lot of them now are, you know, in Abrahamic religion. They've been, you know, a lot of the Dogon, you know what I'm saying, you know, very, you know, indigenous. And then, you know, similar with we often praise the Oromo for holding on to their indigenous spiritual system, but apparently a lot of, you know what I'm saying. So yeah,
it's hard because the governments make it hard for them. It's even the Khoisan. It's hard for them to use because they're hunter gatherers, and you know the government will make it very hard for them to hunt in their traditional manner. So it's very hard to hold on to your traditional system these days.
Absolutely.
No matter where you are, but especially in the continent.
Yes. Rasta asked a mischievous question, but I'm sure you'll be able to deal with it, my brother. Is Somalia closer to Yemen or Nigeria geographically, culturally, and historically? So where should their loyalty be?
Okay, he asked a mischievous question, so I'm going to ask another one. Is Somalia in the Middle East or is it in Africa?
This is a brother who's probably unfamiliar with Wakafena. You know what I'm saying? There are many brothers and sisters, yeah, who
that area does have African deities until people like King Nzana and other people that sold their spiritual system out to the Assyrians and other groups that were coming into what we call the Horn of Africa today. So originally these people had their own African traditions. If you go to Ethiopia, you will see stones called the Tia stones, which operate a lot like Naphtapleia in ancient Egypt, which is a natural satellite, which suggests a common body of knowledge in which they tracked stars and performed astronomy. So they are not an anomaly either. They're not an anomaly. As much as they try to make the African nations that they like an anomaly to Africa, they're not. Just because they got beautiful women there, don't make them an anomaly to the rest of Africa. And when I say beautiful women, I mean beautiful women that are palatable to Europeans.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they're an anomaly.
Yes,
they had
100%.
their traditional practice as well.
Yes, absolutely. Brothers and sisters, we're going to be wrapping up the show soon. So if you got a question or a comment that you would like for our brother Ogunjimi to consider, please get it in now by atting Kimbunga Media, and we're going to pass this mischievous question now. Brother Afro Native did holler at me directly, so that's why I'm giving him a blind. He says, Shakara, brother, as a good Pan-Africanist, you will hit up a mosque in Gambia if invited. Most brothers and sisters are Muslim there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. In fact, I'm extremely interested in the Maulid and the Bayafal context, and also the Tuba, Sheikh Amadou Bamba, and the African retention, right? You know what I'm saying? So all those things interest me.
But I'm not going to the mosque.
No, I hear you, brother. No, I would go to Tuba, because I hear what you're saying. At the same time, I think what he did with Tuba was quite unique in the sense of you can take your pilgrimage there. So I'm interested in the act of self-determination at the very least.
Now I have 2 bifal necklaces.
Right.
In the Gambia, they're actually right here.
Ow.
Oh.
Okay.
This is the other.
Beautiful.
I respect them in the way they made with ebony wood, which is indigenous wood from Gambia. To create symbolism of their practice. This is about as much as I'm willing to compromise with Islam. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I love my brothers and sisters.
No, I'm in complete agreement. I'm not gonna go to worship. You know what I'm saying? But especially because I think that within African societies, mosques can be social as well. So people go there to meet.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? Like in Sierra Leone and them kind of things. So it would depend on the occasion. But I want people to. Yeah, I agree with Brother Black Panther in the sense of the fact that when I go to places such as that, I want people to know. I did the same thing when I was in Sierra Leone. I went to Jama, so this is outside of Freetown now. You know what I'm saying? But people are still Christian and Muslim. I went to I woke up one morning and there was a church and it was in the vibes. So I went to visit the church and just getting some vibes. But I said I want to know where I saw a shrine. So I said to them, I want to visit the shrine. Yeah. And so they showed me, they took me to the shrine, and they were telling me certain things about. So they told me about a ritual, that they perform and them kind of things. So I said, are we able to take part in the ritual? Yeah. And the brother called, the guardian of the particular shrine, and they engaged us in one of their general.
See, that's the thing about Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Your particular practice may not define you like it does in America.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, a person will be like Christian in the morning for service, and prayer time, Muslim in the evening.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct.
And at the African shrine at night,
at night, it happens like that.
Niece that lives in Senegal, we asked her what religion was she, because we didn't want to know that.
Yes.
She told us that she practiced Christmas. And when I asked her what was Christmas, she said a little bit of Christian, a little bit of Muslim.
It's real, y'all. I went to Sierra Leone during Ramadan, and everybody's fasting. You know what I'm saying? If it's even for a week, yeah, you know what I mean. Christians, if you join in the fast,
you like, what is happening here? You told me you was Christian.
Yeah,
I am confused. But it's not even right now in Yoruba land. It's the time of the Olojo festival, which is like the annual festival in Ile-Ife, where our Oni, our king of Ile-Ife, goes into seclusion and meets with his ancestors and everything.
Yes.
There are people that are not Isheshe practitioners, but they still come to the festival.
Yeah.
How about this? How about the Oni himself as a Christian?
Yeah. I'm
So
yeah. In fact, if I recall rightly, there were some problems a couple of years ago because the Oni tried to, try to disregard the tradition.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It ain't gonna work.
Yes, bro.
You got it. He come from an Ogun family too, so it's brother.
Yeah.
Can't get you an Ogun priestess next time.
All right, bro. I think this will be the last question from the audience, and we'll move towards a close. Kushti says, does the brother have any socials where he expands on African spirituality? YouTube, Instagram, of course, after we support his book.
Yes. My Instagram is Black Panther Mossi, spelled how you see on the screen. Mossi, Mossi. That's my Instagram and my YouTube. You can also find me at Mossi Warrior Clan on Instagram. On YouTube. Be advised that is my entire scholarship group, so you will see other videos that you may like on the channel as well, from people like Brother Kofi, Brother Sean, and other members of my group. But yeah, those are my social media pages.
All right, brothers and sisters, if you never got those, we'll repeat them before the end of the show, so don't worry. We'll come back to where you can find Brother Ogunjimni. Right now, my brother, let's get into the politics of Kimoyo, to a degree, because in the blurb to the book, you speak about the contribution that Kimoyo, African spirituality, the role that it has to play in our liberation as a people. So let's touch on that for me, please. Yeah, why is Kimoyo, African spirituality, so fundamental to our resurrection rise, Abibi Fahodie, African liberation as a people?
It's really a simple concept. Kimoyo is not separated from our culture. It's a byproduct of our culture. Our culture is our immune system, as one of the goats The woman you had at the beginning of this broadcast, which I have so much respect for and had the privilege to meet, Marimba Ani, so eloquently puts in her book, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. Culture is your immune system, your way to dodge attacks and all of the BS from these neo-colonialists. You can avoid in some manner by just practicing your culture. If we practice, we in turn practice our spiritual systems. And if we do these things, we can start to know the directions of how to build sustainable empires like our ancestors did. Because whether you are a fan of African history or whether you think it's outdated of spiritual system or whatever, you cannot deny that the best of our history is when we did the things I'm talking about. Now, imagine doing the things I'm talking about with more knowledge about your enemy. Because we have knowledge about our enemy. We've been living here.
Yeah.
But we haven't been living our culture. And it's a real simple proverb I alluded to earlier. You know, if you have money and no character, then the money belongs to someone else. If you have children and character, the children belong to someone else. If we have African liberation and no character, I don't think I have to finish it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I believe that we must dig into the past, in the words of Dr. Fukuyama, and extract these lessons and live our culture to go forward. As the ram goes backward to draw power before he strikes, we must be the ram to go backward to draw power before we propel ourselves forward. The whole principle behind Sankofa, which I'm wearing today, or Aluja, which maybe people aren't familiar with, but Aluja is not just going back to fetch it, but Aluja is going back and gathering the materials to go forward, which you know, is a principle that I got from Brother Asari Motep. But this is my basis, brothers and sisters. To live our culture is to change our paradigm and to be comfortable enough to gain lessons to put us in a different situation than we are right now. We've done the education, we've done the economics, we've done the religions, we've done the corporate ladder, we've done the military, we've done all of these things except back to what we truly are. And the alliances that we could form would be astronomical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting. I was delivering a message in line with honoring Omowale Malcolm X some time ago. And you just quoted an Odu, which was actually the foundation of the message that I delivered in terms of if you have money but you don't have character, the money belongs to someone else. That was the foundation of the message.
Seeing it in real time.
100%.
What do you think happened to Sean Combs? We're seeing it.
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
We're seeing it.
Yeah, another subject for another time, yo. So brothers and sisters, what's left for me to say, is make sure you get the fact. Let me do a little screen share. The Lulu link is the main link, right?
Yes,
for
it
the book.
also
So
now on Amazon. So if you
all right, okay.
Get that as
so you can get it on. Okay, so the link that that is in the description to the video is right here, brothers and sisters. So you can find this link in the description to the video, and you can get the book right here. I want to show people the cover of the book. You know, oh, it's making the. Okay, hold on, 1 second, family. Making the book smaller. I wanted to make it bigger, so we're just gonna make sure that so you can see the book cover. Some the Mossy Warrior Can presents African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora by Black Panther. And so for all those who are looking to get into your journey in terms of Kimoyo, African spirituality. If you want to know what Kimoyo even means, yeah, here's a book that you can delve into to begin that journey, to, you know, continue that journey. And I look forward to bringing you back, my brother, when I have read the book and we can get into even more details, yeah, in terms of what you have written, because the investigation and the conversation must continue. But for now, we thank you for your work on behalf of our people, and may the ancestors and all of our divine energies continue to bless you and fortify you for the work that you have agreed to do, you know, before coming here. May your Ori be fulfilled, my brother.
Sure.
We appreciate you. Ashe. All right, kings and queens. That is our show for this evening. Give brother Black Panther or Gun Jimny some Black Power fists in the chat if you've appreciated his work. I'm gonna put you backstage now while I close the show, bro. But give thanks. Yeah, peace out, peace out, peace out. Odabo. All right, kings and queens. Yeah, so that's that. As you heard, you can find our brother at Black Panther Mossy. Yeah, Black spelled BLAK, Panther spelled PANTHA, Mossy, MOSSI. And if you are not familiar with the Mossy people, which mostly reside in Burkina Faso today, you need to get to know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the history of the Mossy people is a powerful one, brothers and sisters. And so MOSSI, check it out. Good book to read is Destruction of Black Civilization by Baba Chancellor Williams. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If you want to learn about the Mossy people, brothers and sisters, powerful people. I want to be like all those who tuned in this evening, tonight, because you know, so we're there on the following day, as far as the UK is concerned, right? You know, want to big up all those who commented, want to big up all those who asked questions. Also want to big up the silent viewers, and even the enemies, yeah, because we know, say, if we are do this work here and the enemy is not about, we're not do the right thing. So the enemies, the presence of the enemies, we know, say, we are do the right thing, you know, see. So give thanks, yeah, for the presence of the enemies and the attempts to sabotage, divert, and distract us from the mission where we're upon, kings and queens. We love on the same way. All right, brothers and sisters. Before I go, let me re-inform you of the fact that this coming Imani Saturday, we are going to be blessed by the African Survival Initiative, as organized by Jikola Kimbunga, the Brotherhood, the Eye of the Whirlwind. With the US government versus Black people, we're going to be looking into the policies of the Democratic and Republican parties in the United States of America in relation to Black people in America. This is domestic policy. Next month, we will be delving into foreign policy, brothers and sisters. So do stay tuned, yeah, for the monthly sessions, roundtables of the African Survival Initiative. We are also blessed to be joined by our brother Robin Walker, the People's Professor, the Black History Man himself, for the return of our flagship show, Kushkim University, dealing with the ancient empire of Ghana, also known, or some might say more properly known, as Wagadu, kings and queens. And so this is the return of the Kushkim University. You will be receiving episodes of Kushkim University on a monthly basis henceforth. So do stay tuned. In fact, I'll let you in on a secret here, because of the theme of our show today. Our Kushkim University for October will feature our brother Dalian Adofo of Ancestral Voices fame. And so he will be delving into the basics and fundamentals of African spirituality. Next month, brothers and sisters, October, that will be the thing. Yeah, so do stay tuned for that. That's hot off the press news right there, sir. And finally, let me let you know about the African World Special Edition, yeah, as convened by Mama Marimba Annie. And I had the pleasure of contributing to its production, and writing 2 articles in it, brothers and sisters. The War Report, packed full of reporting and analysis from the front lines of African rebellion from Kenya to Haiti and beyond. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, you don't want to go throughout life, especially for the next few months, without delving in to the War Report. We're getting some good feedback about it. One of the things that is in it as well is that it lists military bases on the African continent, yeah, in a section called Occupied Territory. So you have to know about the geopolitical reality that we currently reside in, brothers and sisters. We have to be prepared, yeah. And so the War Report is designed for such a purpose. All right, family. All right. So yeah, we're going to get into the close now. With that, brothers and sisters, if you are not subscribed to Kimbunga Media, subscribe to Kimbunga Media. If you would like to join our Patreon, you'll find the link for the Patreon in the description to the video. Once again, you'll find the link to the book African Spirituality for Children of the African Diaspora also in the video. And if you want to say, also in the description to the video. And if you would like to stay in tune with all things Kimbunga Media, you can also join our channels on WhatsApp and Telegram and etc. Via links in the description to the video. With that, I say unto thee, Tendai Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe, Kudzai Muzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors because our ancestors are worthy to be praised. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Hello, this is Robin Walker. I'm the Black History Man. This is Kush Communiversity, and class is in session. The presentation is called The West African Empire of Ghana. The ruler of Ghana was the richest king on the face of the earth. West Africa is the center of where it's at in terms of economic activity on the earth. West Africa is where it's at.